All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another episode of Agency Intelligence, where I give you real agents inside real agencies, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass. I'm here, and today I got somebody special for you, loyal listeners. And I say that because this man and I, we have history. I have to say, because I wouldn't have said it then, but I'll say it now, I think we achieved great things together. Just not me and him, but me and him and a collection of a few other handful, I should say, of folks who helped inspire thousands of agents across America back from my time started in 2010 on the National Young Agents Committee. Quincy, when did yours start? What was it, 2012, 2011?
No, 2011.
2011. That's what I thought. I'd been on 1 year and then you would come on. So anyways, loyal listeners, welcome to Agency Intelligence. You know I love you, and I'm bringing people who are inside the agency. If you're a new loyal listener, that's the difference between agents influence and agency intelligence. Is Quincy, who I'm going to introduce here in a minute, is inside an agency. He's worked from the ground to the top. He's been the mail boy, and he now is leader of the empire, and all he does is just help his agencies and his other businesses flourish. Quincy, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, well, thank you, sir, for having me.
Well, to say what your title is and who you are, I'll just say, because I don't really know. What would you say your passion that you do day to day is today?
My passion
Your
really
job,
is me.
your career. You know what I mean.
And I say, I guess officially, I'm the president and CEO of Branch Benefits Consultants. But on a daily basis, JC, I get to wake up and lead people, and I think that's what I'm probably more passionate about is leading people.
I agree. It's so fun. It's so challenging. It's so rewarding. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's so challenging, so rewarding. I mean, some days you want to throw in the towel, and then some days you're just like, nah, that's just how it is, you know?
Yep.
So here's something, Quincy, that as we get into this, I want you to I've got a story that I've known about it's 2020. I've known about this probably obviously since I started the podcast, but it's something the loyal listeners have never known. And it directly involves you, Quincy.
Okay.
So it's kind of exciting. So you loyal listeners, it kind of starts right off in the podcast because I have 3 questions that I like to ask everybody. And you are an instrumental part of one of those. And so the first question I ask is are you an iPhone or are you a Droid user? iPhone. Okay. This is the instrumental part. What's the last app you downloaded?
Wow. Team Snap, which is an app for my daughter's basketball club team.
Okay. Team Snap. So that's why what you don't know, loyal listeners, and what he probably doesn't is you ask that question to a panel of CEOs.
Yeah.
I think it was in New Orleans or somewhere like that. And every year we rotated who led that, and it was your turn to lead, and you did a great job. And there were some high power executives on the stage. And one of the questions that you asked to open it up was to kind of break the ice was, what's the last app you downloaded? And I always remembered wow, that is really good. That's a really good question, because that's something that everybody does. No one that has a cell phone has never not downloaded an app. You downloaded some kind of app. So it's something you can relate to. And most people have done it recently. And so that's why I always threw that out there. So loyal listeners, right here, the brains behind the question that has been asked hundreds of times came from my man. See, because it's tell me your thoughts, tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. I've been telling the world what you've been having to say, Quincy, for years. I love it. Okay, we'll get off that. But then
I'm glad I could help.
It's just what you're doing. You're doing it right when you're helping and you don't even know. Right? Right?
Exactly.
That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. Now let me ask you, do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I'm probably more love to win.
You probably more love to win.
Hmm.
Any reason why?
Uh, Only because, and shout out to the late great, but I subscribe to that Mamba mentality, and I'm all about, okay, what does it take to win? And really, when I guess if I lose, Cass, I don't necessarily count it as a loss because I'm trying to figure, okay, what did I do wrong, or what I
Mm-hmm.
could have done better? Because I'm gonna come back next time and I'm gonna make sure I win.
That's
So
right.
that's why I say, yeah, I'm probably more love to win.
It's the drive to win that makes you want to learn from the loss so that you can get back in that winner seat. And the thing is, Quincy, I don't know about you because that would be my answer. The loyal listeners know that. And mine is, I was thinking about this the other day when I was driving, and I was thinking like, why I love to win is because I don't know, but I'm compelled to winners. Right?
Mm.
Everybody wants to root against the Patriots. And maybe you have your own reason, but a lot of times they just want to see them lose. I'm the kind of
Mm-hmm.
person that's like, no, I want to see them win. This is cool building this dynasty. And it's one of the cool things that we have right now with Brady. Everybody kind of wants to see him
Yeah,
win now, which is really cool because 4 years ago, they're like, beep, 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 Brady. Like, we don't care about that. He's a cheater and all that. But, anyways, now it's different. So anyways, that's good. I like that. Now there's two things here in the podcast that we believe. There's a lot of things like God, your family that have been instrumental in your life. But if
mm-hmm.
we said here on the podcast that we have two and one would be skill or luck, which one would you think has led to your success more in your life? Skill or
Wow.
luck? This is the
Um,
last question, I promise.
no, and man, there's some good stuff here. I'm going to modify your question a little bit
Come
and
on.
just simply say instead of skill, I'm going to say favor, and only because when you said God, of course, I truly believe and understand that I've been placed in this position for such a time as this, and so not so much luck, but just favor. That favor has put me in the right places, JC. Favor
Mm.
has put me to meet the right people, like yourself. And I tell people all the time, man, I'm not the smartest insurance person. I'm not the best business person, but favor just happens to work out for me. So, as I say again, so not luck, but favor.
I'm reading the book Greenlight. You and I mentioned it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
earlier, but it comes to it. And it's funny because he has a saying, and I'll butcher it because how he breaks up the book is great. But he has these little things called bumper stickers or prescriptions, and they're little bitty antidotes that he's found true. And he said, I can't hide the fact that there's somebody out there looking out for me because when
Mm-hmm.
things need to go right, they do. And I'm not saying that means that we're more special than somebody
Right,
else, but if
right.
favor. I love the word that you use there. And that's fantastic, Quincy. Fantastic. Loyal listeners, as you can see once again why I always bring the best on for you because I don't want to pollute your mind. You got enough stuff to learn. I want to bring you the best. So, Quincy, take us back to high school. Take us back to college. I kind of know this story, but in 2, 3 minutes, give us something to relate to. Bring us to how you are right now in this position.
Wow. Long story short, man, my journey started in Louisiana. Moved to Vegas in my sophomore year, my junior year of high school. And really that was interesting in itself because went to Vegas one summer, told my dad, hey man, I think Vegas is a great opportunity for us. I want to move. He didn't bat an eye. Said, hey, let's do it. My godparents, again, favor. My godparents were in the right spot and said, you know what? Hey, send him. I took a 2.5 day bus trip from Louisiana to Las Vegas. And man, the rest has been history since then. Had a great high school career that allowed me to get a scholarship to go play basketball and academics in Colorado. Came back to UNLV and finished up in Vegas. And it's been all she wrote since then.
Loyal listeners, you heard him, college basketball player, college athlete. We say a lot around here, Quincy, that people who are very good producers, sometimes very high achievers,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time are college athletes. I've seen so many
Mm-hmm.
women on here who you find out that they played softball competitively or gymnastics, and they're rock stars in what they do. The same
Mm-hmm.
thing with men. A lot of times it's either basketball, a lot of baseball. baseball players were
Uh,
like gritty, they're like, they get dirty. You tell them no, they're just going to get up and throw dirt right in your face. You know what I mean? And
mhm.
sometimes you need that here in this industry. So yeah, that's great, man. So here's one thing that I thought was cool. Before you kind of got into this, maybe I think your dad might have been in the benefits a little bit.
Mhm.
Didn't you like sell toiletries and stuff like that? I can't remember, goods to the
Yeah,
casinos. Tell us about that. That was kind of one of
yeah.
your first ventures, right?
Man, you got a great memory, dude. I just want to tell
Dude,
you that.
when I meet awesome people, I soak stuff up. But yeah.
Nah, but no, man, and you're absolutely right. My father's been in the insurance business for over 30 years, and literally, I didn't want to do insurance at all. So, I was fortunate to be in a position where I had a sanitation supply company. So we were doing like toilet tissue and paper towels and other things of that nature to some of the larger properties out here. I had a big contract with a casino, had a couple contracts with a couple utility companies, and for me, I was well on my way, doing my thing. And as of course, business would happen, things took a turn. And, the good thing is my father was right there, had a company, and, I was able to slide in there. And you mentioned it earlier, but I tell people all the time, at some point, and I'm probably going to tap into you at some point, sir, because I have this idea for writing my own book at some point, when it says going from the file room to the boardroom, my journey, because literally, Jason, I started off working at my dad's agency in the file room that was probably as big as a closet that just had files, cabinets all over the place. And I was filing deck pages, and I was doing that, and I was getting the mail, and I was the cleaning boy on Saturday. So, to go from that to where I am today, I tell people all the time, there's no aspect of an agency that I haven't seen run. So, I may not be the best at it, but at least I've seen it in some way, shape, fashion, or form.
Mm, 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 mm. Helps us to relate to our employees, helps them to relate and have confidence in us that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's trying to ask me to do something, but I got to remember, I mean, he did it for 5, 6, 7 years by himself before I was here.
Mm-hmm.
It's that mutual understanding. So you're right. I love that. I love that. The reason what struck me is when I remember you telling me about that. And I thought to myself, like, wow, at the time I was 27, 28, 29, trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to own my own business. And I'm looking like, man, this dude, is doing this. He just opened up I say hospitality, toiletry, but sanitation,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, right? Sanitation cleaning business. He
Supply
sold
there.
those products, right? And I was just always so intrigued by that. And Quincy, I mean it. It's like being around Billy Williams or Tom Baker or Miles
Yeah.
Merwin or these other smart people. Like my brain just soaks it up. Not many people do I know pass the insurance test the first time. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
on average second, third time. CIC was a breeze for me. When someone is speaking knowledge and wisdom like you were at such a young age, because you and I, how old are you right now? I'm 40. I'm 42.
44.
What? I thought you were a couple years younger than me. Shit.
No,
Okay,
sir.
okay, makes sense, makes sense. Still though, at the same age, what you had already accomplished, I wanted to. And so anyways, so how did you exactly find out? If I'm correct, I can't remember his name, Joe Hernandez, I think
Yeah.
was his name, that was the president out there in Nevada. I think he was one of the people who had said to me, Jason, you need to meet this Quincy Branch guy. Do you,
Mm-hmm.
was there any, I think he was instrumental in getting you part of this big eye, right?
Yeah, and Joe Hernandez actually was a business partner of my father in his agency when we first got started. But at the time, yeah, Joe was the president of our local association, and and Joe was very high influential with national as well, and just
Yes.
sort of made those inroads and made those connections. And man, look where we are today.
I know, man, and I know, and I am the first one sometimes that beats up because I think it pushes the big eye forward in their thinking and their mentality. Because I never want to beat them up, but I always want to push them forward. But back in 2010, 2013, when you and I and Jill Roth and Boyd McGee and all these
Yeah, and
great
Clinton.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was Clint Ivy. Man, he reached out to me probably about 2 or 3 months ago on LinkedIn and was like, "Hey,
really.
things are great." Yeah, and I replied back to him. He didn't reply, and I was like, "Yeah, that dude's just busy." But thanks, Clint, if you happen to be listening to this, because you see it's Quincy and I say, hey, what's up? So
Man, yeah, definitely. I maybe connected with him maybe like a year ago. Just off
you
of
did?
some random. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? If I remember correctly, when he joined and then he had to leave, I think it was because his father-in-law had died and he had to go take over that large company,
Yeah.
which was this is what
Yeah.
insurance allows you to do. That's why this baby's beautiful. So, anyways, getting back to it, I just try loyal listeners are just sorry about that. Quincy and I haven't talked on the phone or anything since, so these things
No.
come up and we want to talk about it. Quincy, so since then, now since those days, 10 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, because Dad owned it, but what's it look like now? Like, do you own it? Is Dad still in the business? I know you've been buying businesses. I mean, what's
Mhm.
it look like today? What are you doing?
Man, it looks like today, well, I'm 100%, running it now. And I tell people all the time, my father's in a position right now, Jason, where he's doing what he loves and does best. We call him the
Mm,
politician. So, he has the best, sweetest deal ever. We walk in, he's reading the Wall Street Journal, he takes a couple of phone calls. But going back to the politician, he does what he does best, which is go out there. We call him the rainmaker. Hey, you don't have to do anything other than go out there and just build relationships and bring in business.
mm-hmm.
So, and I think he loves that. And I got to give him a real big shout out. And I really do appreciate that because one of the things that we and him always talk about, especially, with the familiar relationship, but also from a business standpoint, that he always says, man, I knew how to get out of the way. Like I knew when it was my time to get out of the way. And so, we don't have that typical knock on wood contention of he's still trying to lead and still trying to, do this and do that in the agency. No, he understands his role. He gives me and my leadership team the opportunity and leeway and the latitude to do what we do best. So, it works for us. It
I
really
like
does. And so I
I like
appreciate that for him.
I like that. I write that down because one of these great things you say is going to be the lead of this and the title of this podcast. That's good stuff. I know when it's time for me to walk away. Loyal listeners, so much for you to be able to listen and learn from that statement because I know there's a lot of you who are 50, 55, 60, 65. Doesn't mean you need to walk away tomorrow, but have you thought about, when that time
Mm-hmm.
is, right? And it's easier for your father in the way that he did know that he has you. So let's be true. A lot of loyal listeners
Mm-hmm.
out there, agency owners are kind of like, I'm trying to find that. I didn't have a daughter. I didn't have a son that was going to come up.
Right.
And maybe sometimes that's their stress is trying to find that thing, you know? Quincy, whenever you first started getting in and you had left your own business and you had joined your dad, didn't you do more of the benefits? Am I right about that or no?
Well, actually, when I first got in, long story short, I actually got in on the PNC side.
Okay.
I was licensed PNC first, and I can truly say this: I knew enough to be dangerous. And my father had a small personal lines agency. We didn't really do a lot of commercial, and so I got the license just because he said do that first. Get that, you'll be fine. But I was really doing more of the accounting stuff. I was more so the math mind behind the scenes, making sure the money was
Wow.
flowing and everything else because I didn't want to talk to clients. Like, contrary to popular belief, I am an extreme introvert. Like, I don't like public speaking. That I do it, but it's a job for me. Put it that way. But then, after a couple of maybe about a year or so, he said, "Well, hey, you're sticking around. Go ahead and get your life and health license. Just to be well rounded. Do it while you're young. Get it done." And I'm like, "Hey, okay, what's another test? Okay." Got my life and health license, and then he immediately says, "Well, you know what? We're going to start a life and health division, and I want you to run that for me." And probably within a few months of starting the division, we landed, a municipality here in Vegas, and it forced me, sir, to just jump into benefits face first,
Gotcha.
and I loved it. So, so I tell you all the time, I know enough about PNC to be dangerous, but obviously, if I had a niche in knowledge, benefits is definitely my niche in knowledge.
Niche in knowledge. I love that. Niche in knowledge, dude. I love that. I love little things like that, I say niche in knowledge. But okay. Now, another and it is funny because you are heavily involved still in the Big I. And so one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I mean, this is ironic. This is just Cass's timing, I guess, but you were just given a big award. I think
Yeah.
last week, right? Loyal listeners, we're recording this on April 15th. I think last week on the 11th or
Oh
12th,
no.
I can't remember.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's okay. The Tuesday on my birthday. Boy, that was a special day.
Yeah,
Golly, that was a
tell me about it.
special day. I mean, you know what I mean, so what is the award that you won?
Well, and I was totally just taken off guard with this one because I had no clue. But it was the Sidney O'Brien, Award for Government Affairs. So basically, the recognition for my work on government affairs and on behalf of independent agents.
That's right. And let people, the best part of the Big I is their legislative power. There's no
Mm-hmm.
one that can duplicate that power that they have. And when I say power, the influence, the
Influence.
understanding, the
Yeah.
camaraderie, knocking on D doors and knocking on R doors. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
always thinks insurance is just R's. No, you got to win with the D's too. I think
Mm-hmm.
90 to 92% of the people, the politicians that were funded, it was almost even Democrats to Republicans. I think obviously there may have been more Republicans. That would only make
Right.
sense. But like 80 to 90% of them won office. And
Oh
I
yeah.
always like to say, Quincy, and I want to hear your points on this, but I always say, they told me a long time ago, while you're in your office fighting for your client, we're here in DC fighting for you. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the truth. Like there's a lot of legislative efforts that go through that Big I members today benefit from, or any insurance agent
It's
benefit
right.
from,
Mm-hmm.
that was start legislatively by agents getting concerned, taking it to the state level, taking it to the federal level, and making change, right? What do you think
Mm-hmm.
about that? I know you're heavily involved in that. What's your passion and reason why?
Right. Well, I think my passion on that, especially on the government affairs side, Jason, is that man, you don't realize how many aspects that insurance actually plays in, especially when it comes to legislative stuff. If you look at it, probably over 50% or 75% of legislation has some type of insurance component to it. And it works both ways, especially in our business. One, we're fighting for consumer advocate stuff and we're making sure that, things don't adversely affect our clients. But then we're small business owners. So therefore, we're making
Wow.
like tax reform is important to us, and when you look at things of that nature, and so forth. So in our position, I think it's really unique that we have to look at it from a standpoint, okay, how does this affect our clients? How does this affect our businesses? But also, okay, how does this affect us as a business owner? How does this affect
Mhm.
our operations? And then I think to your point, sir, you're very spot on where, the Big I has done a tremendous job and they always get very good accolades every year about how they advocate on Capitol Hill. And the good thing about it is, like I say again, member or not, active or not, that work benefits all of us,
That's right.
and we're all beneficiaries of that work. So I do, and I just believe in this, Cass, simply put. Man, when I decided that this was going to be the industry of choice and this is where I was going to lay my hat, I said, you know what? I need to get involved. And how best to get involved is to get involved to me at the ground level where change is happening.
That's right.
It's one thing to have a seat at the table, but it's a whole other thing to make sure that you're ordering off the menu. It's a whole other thing if
Mm.
you're even if you can set the menu, that how much better is that? So I just saw government affairs and that avenue as a way to say, you know what, okay, I'm at the table, but how can I be a part of setting the menu? And so I've made some great relationships and I've learned a lot, from that.
Hmm. Influential people,
Oh
you're
man.
around successful people. Birds of a feather flock together. That is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to say, once again, loyal listeners, you know that I'm out there pushing hardcore on the Big I. I call them when I think they do things wrong. I call vendors out when I think they do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always said that the Big I legislative effort is one of the greatest, most powerful things in our industry that people don't see. It's one of those things that works behind the scenes. And I
Mm-hmm.
do so much that, loyal listeners, whether I want to or not, I don't. They every month they take money out of my account that goes to InsurePack. Not only
Mm-hmm.
do I sit here and just talk about it, I actually put my dollars where it is, and I encourage other people to do that. I mean, because simply paying $100 or $150 or $100 a month, $500 a month, I know that sounds ridiculous, but simply is paying $20 a month really, really means
Man,
something when it adds up over a year.
it
And
does.
and those dollars are used. And I know we hate politicians a lot of times, but at the end of the day, They're up there making laws, and we got to have some kind of influence. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I just wanted to point out your award. So, of all that stuff I just said, loyal listeners, he's being recognized, and I think the Sidney O'Brien, if I remember correctly, is one of the highest awards that you can get in
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, man, you know what I would have said to him, Quincy? Hey, I appreciate this, but you guys are making me feel old. You know what I mean? I thought you had to be 60 or 70 to win this thing. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, no, I mean, because usually it takes that long for someone to build the resume that you have. And that's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. That's a testament to you. Good job for there, Quincy. I love
Yeah,
that.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
So now, I mean, and another great thing about Quincy and his dad, when we tie back to that, is you guys go to the Final Four a lot. Am I correct about that? Did
Man,
you guys go this year?
every year for the past 8 years.
You were able to go this year?
No.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, wow, I bet you could. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if it was able to go, you probably would have went, right? That's like a tradition. Now you're bringing your son, which
Yep.
is really, really awesome. I love sharing that moment every year with you when you snap those pictures and share them, man. It's great.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been a great thing. And like I said again, I'm looking at my wall right now at the past 8 years. We missed the last two, obviously, because of COVID. And, the vendor that we use, he called me like 2 weeks before the Final Four, said, I just don't think we're going to be able to get tickets this year. And I was like, well, I wasn't anticipating you guys getting tickets. So, that's fine. But like you said, man, it's been something that, it's become my dad and my son's sort of man time. And Jason, I said, you've been there, you've seen the pictures and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But now, man, my son is graduating in a couple of months. And it's utterly amazing that, now I got a kid that'll be in college and that we've been able to build those memories. And that's something that we always say that was our man time. Like, hey, no girls allowed. We're eating, eating ribs and drinking soda and blah, blah, blah. But, to able to have those memories now, to say before he goes off to college for the last 8 or 9 years, man, just that's the kind of stuff. But also, I want to say this, sir, is that we work, I know you know this to be the same as well. We work in an industry, man, that gives you the latitude to be able to do that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you put the work in, and necessarily say, okay, I can take that time off and I can do that kind of thing, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about, man. Like, forget insurance policies and legislation. It's all about what that type of work affords you to do. And, I've been blessed to be able to do that.
It allows you to have the most important asset, which is time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
But it then allows you that second thing to have the finances to be able to enhance that. And hey, we can sit outside and we can play ping pong or we can throw darts in the yard. I get it. That's all family time. But it's different when you have the financial ability to actually go to Six Flags for the day, right? Or you have the financial ability to go take a vacation to Hawaii or something. That's another great part of this industry. You don't listen a lot to the podcast, and that's completely fine. I mean, there's tons that don't, but I talk about the five truths of insurance. I believe there's a lot of lies that people believe in this industry. Like, I have to have a lot of companies, right? And I need to be able to quote and write everybody, right? A lot of these lies, I say, prevent us from the five truths. The five truths being, number one, a flexible schedule. That's what you just said, being able to do one. Second one is financial freedom, right? So I'm fine. I have it's an ability to that. Number three is a community builder and contributor, right? Being someone in my community, being able to be to give money and to charity. And then the fourth one is empire builder. Right? We're building an empire that this industry allows us. There's not a lot of industries that you go to and you just get to build an empire. I mean, it really doesn't. And if you do, you have to be the leader of a CEO and you have to have a 4-year degree and it's tough to get in. You can create this yourself. And number 5 is a mentor. It allows you to give back to those type of people, And so, it's kind of crazy because I was just with Billy, right? And so before I get onto that, those are the reasons. So I'm with you there. That flexible schedule really, really seals that deal. But then all the other things, I always say those first two, the flexible schedule, Quincy, and the financial freedom, is about you. But the community contributor, empire builder, and mentor is about helping other people. You know what I mean? So I always think that that's cool. Any thoughts on any of that?
Totally important. And I guess I'll say this, Jason, where I may not first time hearing it, but I'm sort of excited, sir, because I am living all 5 of your truths. Literally, I am living proof of your 5 truths. So what you say, and for all your listeners, trust me, that's good knowledge. So.
So here's another thing. Let me add on to this. So I'm with Billy on April for my birthday. My wife had asked me 2 or 3 months ago. She said, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" I said, "It's on a Tuesday. That you can't really do much. We can't really go out. We can go out to dinner, but then let's wait until the weekend." I said, "I'd really like to go play golf with Billy because I had just done a podcast on golfing with Billy Williams, one of the most phenomenal podcasts. He's discovered golfing in the last year. Done fantastic.
Yeah, he told me.
Yeah. Okay. He just qualified for the National USS AMF Senior thing. And yeah, it's a big deal. So I thought to myself, I'm going to go play with this guy and I want to learn the wisdoms of golf from him, right? Not just an hour podcast. And boy, did I get that. You know what I mean? It was like from beginning to end. And it goes back to one of these 5 truths. It doesn't go back to one of them. It goes back to all 5 of them. He told me that sometimes, Jason, people don't realize that God put them in a position, and anybody can do it, to be a business owner for 5 reasons. He said there's 5 reasons, and I'll probably butcher these because I'm learning all these. I was recording so much, he knew that I was recording, but half the time he didn't, so so I'm really catching some wisdom. And he said to me that passion, God gives us passion because he wants us to be happy and be joyful, right? That's what he does. He gives us products that we create through our passion to be able to help other people. That's part of the plan. He wants us to have profit because that is very important to, like he said, if I'm not making any money, no one else is making any money, right?
Exactly.
It's as simple as that, right? The second one was philanthropy. So to where you are going to now make enough profit that now you can even give back more, just not through your products and stuff. And then number 5 was, oh gosh, darn it, Jason, don't fail on me. I was doing really good. I can't remember what it was. Dang it, it'll come to me, loyal listeners. But it all has to do with the final, which that all wraps up into the final P, which is purpose. And that is one of the reasons why and when he broke it down that way, I was like, wow, that's really, really cool. And he's like, so the things that you need to make sure that you do, are you going to be able to hit all 5 of those? Because that's the point of what you're doing.
Yeah.
As a business owner, you were given that responsibility to do those 5 things. I thought that was really cool. Thoughts on that?
No, that's super deep. And again, we both know Dr. Billy, and I say again, every time he speaks, you just shut up and listen. And that's really the key. But no, I think that's really the truth. Like, Jason, you said something earlier in the podcast that, man, the life of a business owner is not easy. It's not. Unless again, people get to see us doing cool things like this and see us golfing with Billy Williams and going to Final Fours, but they don't see the fact that, like myself, I was in here at 6 this morning, went to bed at 1. We're gonna start. You don't see that stuff, or you don't see the fact that, okay, you got to worry about payroll and things of that nature. But, man, at the same time, those 5 P's, like you said again, it's sort of like your true north. When things get rough, and you want to throw in the towel, as you mentioned earlier, man, you go back to those 5 P's and, okay, why am I doing this? It's bigger than insurance. It's bigger than, quote unquote, a paycheck. So, I think you need that constant grounding. And you said something, man, that was key, talking about mentorship. And I think for me, that's what's been really important with people like, even men like yourself, because trust me, sir, I follow you more than you think, and Dr. Billy Williams and my dad and things like that. Man, you need people that just can ground you, and you need people that that are on the front line with you, and they're fighting a good fight. They'll send you a good word, or they'll say something you didn't realize they said it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, that was awesome. I need a refresher. So I think to your point, man, the things that somebody you did and you learned with those 5 P's, man, that's powerful. And I'm pretty sure he's going to come out with a webinar or podcast on that sooner or later. So I'm looking forward to that.
He will. And one of the things that I got there, Quincy, that I did not expect to get, we talked a lot about parenting. He told me, I'm going to tell you this, and I've told this to my business partner, I told to my wife. In this industry, there's a lot of people who talk shit. There's a lot of people. You talk to them, you get to know them, then you go visit them, you see them, and you're like, wow, this is kind of interesting. They may not take you to their house. They may not introduce you to their wife. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, is there something going on there? But whatever, that's their thing. There ain't no bullshit with Billy Williams. I mean,
not at all.
His family is fantastic. They're dynamic. Like it's there's the boys and the men open up the door for the woman. That's not like, he didn't say like, okay, everybody, Jason's coming over, start acting this way. He's like, this is expected, and it was really refreshing to see. I saw a lot of personal things inside their family that I was like, wow, they have a good grounding. And, and he always attributes it back to his father. And he's proud of his mother, and he's really proud of his father. So anyways, it was really, really good. And one of the things, he said a lot of really great things, but I wanted to throw one more in there for you loyal listeners that I thought was good, is he says, consistency looks like success from the outside. I thought that was important because you're talking about what you said, like people don't see that behind the scenes thing, right? They don't see that you were there till 1 and came back at 6. They don't see that. But what they see is they see consistency. So what he was saying to me is, and I said to him, I said, Billy, sometimes I think you can do the wrong thing over and over and you eventually be successful. He said, Jason, consistency looks like success from the outside. So sometimes you can look successful just by doing the same damn thing, whether it's right or wrong, I was like, damn, I just fell out of the cart. So it was just, you just got that. And it's so great because this sounds weird to say, he has an answer for everything, but he'll tell you that doesn't mean that answer fits you. He's just lived and recorded and listened enough that he's found out that this is the way it works here. So I'm going to continue to do that, and man, just a fantastic day and a half, That
sounds like an awesome birthday present, man.
It really truly was, and I knew it would be, and it was an investment. I wanted it to be an investment in myself. So anyways, it was great stuff. So, Quincy, so today, now have you purchased any agencies lately?
Man, actually we did. We just had an acquisition the end of last year. So during COVID, December of 2020, we purchased an agency out in Florida that was probably, Jason, going to be one of our signature and crowning jewels of quote unquote, our merger and acquisition. So really super excited about this piece of business.
So wait a minute. So you're in Nevada, if you remember, loyal listeners, that's where he is now. So now you're over there and going to Florida?
Oh yeah, man. I'm trying to get to the beach. I'm trying to get to South Beach.
Hey, I ain't against you. My plan is 2023. My son graduates from high school. I'm moving to Cape Coral, Port Charlotte, all that, Naples. I'm going to move into that area. Like I'm gone, and I'm going to open a business there, an agency, the Insurance Alliance, but a second location. So that's why when you said that, I'm like, man, this is Quincy and I are thinking the exact same. You got to get to the beach. So living on the coast. Or not the coast, living on the west side of America, a lot of times they don't really travel to Florida. A lot of times they're staying in the California area, a lot for going to Arizona for the hot weather and stuff like that. Is there a lot more people that I know that travel all the way from the West Coast that go to Florida, like yourself maybe? Just asking as an American.
Yes, more than you know, because again, the good thing, California beaches are great, Jason, but it's cold water. We don't have warm water beaches.
Yeah.
So,
small town Cass, who doesn't get out of the rule much except for Florida, doesn't realize that. And the beaches are white,
Yeah.
On the Gulf side, right?
Yeah.
Their beaches are white. Got that nice powder sand. It squeaks when you walk in it, and then you go to the brown stuff. It's kind of like, well, it's still sand, but it's not as
bright. Right.
But
anyway. No, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful, but yeah, like it's nothing like getting that Florida, warm water beach weather. So yeah,
I hear you. Warm weather brings sharks, but that's okay. Anyway,
minor detail.
Yeah, that minor detail. What are the odds, huh?
Right.
That would be bad. Anyway, so that's cool. So how many acquisitions is that? that you've had for your
That,
business,
that
roughly?
makes number 3 now.
Number three, what would you say is the number one thing that you've probably learned in the acquisition that you probably didn't think before your first one that you now know?
Ooh, wow. Okay. So I'm probably going to get in a little trouble on this one here, but I know, I've always been inspired by you to say, speak your mind.
Come on.
Man, Jason, it's amazing how many people don't necessarily run their business effectively or efficiently. If I'm just being candid, because, again, with merger and acquisitions, you're going under the wheel, under the hood, you're pulling out spark plugs and everything else. And it's just amazing, the things how people work in their business, but not on their business. In some cases it's disheartening. In other cases it's like, okay, hey, this is why we're coming in because we want to, hopefully help make it better. So that's probably been my number one. I'm always shocked by that. I don't know why, but I'm always shocked by that.
Huh. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. I can definitely see that that's true. I say all the time that we're terrible business owners here in the insurance industry. We really truly are. We're really bad, and that's okay. Um, I say a lot that we definitely wouldn't have as many successful people as we do now if it wasn't for residuals. Residual income makes it pretty easy. You know what I mean? You work your butt off for 3 to 5 years. You fall into a couple, good accounts, good referrals, and then all of a sudden you're like, you can make $10,000 in new business a year, but it just keeps building. If you just were a solo guy, it allows for things that you never could have done. I say all the time, a lot of times, a lot of agency owners are good salespeople who thought that they would make more commission if they went on their own. Well, that's the biggest lie we've ever told ourselves in the world. I swear, like I'm talking W-2, okay, W-2. I have not made as much money as I did in 2009. Now, could I have taken out more money and stuff as a business owner? Yes. But in 2009, when I was a straight producer, and that's the only thing I had to do, I had a book, and I was bringing in well over $200,000. Today, I don't bring that in because I'm just putting it back into my company, right? I'm reinvesting and reinvesting. So that's the mentality that I had as well, was like, well, man, if I'm making this much money for them and I'm the only one producing, I could go on my own. And it's like, and it was like, yeah, and still to this day, I haven't taken that home. I mean, I guess I could, but I just haven't. I mean, I'm trying to find producers. I want to find senior account managers of the highest quality level. Hey, another thing that he told me, we're going to end with this. He told me, Jason, he said, you need to either, I put this in a post. He said, your job needs to either be your passion or needs to fund your passion.
I saw that.
You saw that. Now, here's what the mind-blowing thing was on that is I was talking to him about a couple things that I'm thinking about selling, and it was one of the couple reasons why I went out there. He told me that he just started telling me this right off the bat. I'm like, oh my gosh, he knows why I'm here. Even though he thinks he doesn't know why I'm here, he does. And I thought about that because that goes back to why would you give up something, right? That you've really kind of built in order to justify because you may not have a passion for it anymore. And it goes back to what I'm saying here and what I'm going to start doing is he says you're not training your managers good enough, Jason. He said you should be able to have your businesses run. And when I look at a couple of my businesses where I have very, very strong leadership, Sarah Nicholas is one at Agency Intelligence that runs all this stuff. I don't really have to worry about that. We meet 2 times a week. She tells me this is her baby. She's running it. This is her. We've got Pod Squad, which does the edit its podcast for all tons of people. She runs that. My agency, I've got a couple people, but I don't think I've trained them as hard as maybe I've worked in other areas because I've always been there to be that leader. And he's really kind of inspired me to say, Jason, you've got to train your managers. And so when I'm going back to the airport, he's like, tell me your top 3 things you're doing. And he made me record it so that he could, and that was one of my things was number 3 is that I need to train my managers because then I can allow it to fund my passion. right?
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
allow, because I like insurance and it's been a passion of mine, but I also realize I only live once. And I realize that there's other things I want to do, like deep sea fish, right? I bought a
Mm.
drone and I think I'm going to get my commercial drone license so I can do inspections for insurance companies on property in Florida, right? I
Oh,
mean, just
okay.
these, yeah, like little things like that. I mean, I'm going to retire. Heck no, I ain't
Right.
retiring. I'm going to be working forever because I just like to do it. But those things. And he said, Jason, in
Mhm.
order to do that, you have to train your managers. What do you think about that, Quincy? Is that something that you're actively doing? Think of your businesses. What do you
Dude,
think?
like I said again, Dr. Billy, and I said I always I never call him Bill, I always call him Doctor because he does drop knowledge.
I love
But Jason, I mean, he's so true. Like, dude, even myself, like I said, I tell people all the time, even though I'm the CEO of this company, I know that the buck stops with me, but also I have to empower people. And like you said, man, is leadership is key. And I think if nothing else, the pandemic has taught me that, Jason, that, having the right systems in place and having the right people in place, man, will take you farther than what you think you could ever know or think. And I think I learned it from my dad as well, that you
did.
have to realize that you can't be everything to this business.
Mm,
And if you are, then you're going to burn yourself out, and it's not going to be successful because you can only go so far. And so, that's what we've been doing, man. We've put leadership development programs within our agency over the last 2 years because we
cool.
want to start pouring into our people, and start entry level people even to build leadership skills. So therefore, we can start growing people up. I know this. Our industry has a hard time with recruiting people in. So I said,
Hmm.
okay, why not just, we call it farm system from within. So how do we build our people from within to make sure that, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, like you said, they're ready for these opportunities, and I'm
Yeah,
not scrambling trying to figure, okay, what am I doing here? What am I doing that? So now I think he's spot on.
he is.
And like you said, Jason, it's not that you're advocating yourself from the business, but you realize that Jason Cass needs to be here for the business, not here for the
Hmm.
business. So I think brilliant.
Hmm. When Tony Ishii or whatever, I can't remember his name, from Zappos that
Oh, Shay,
passed.
Tony Shay, yeah.
Tony Shakes, excuse me. Yes, yes. I in the article I read, um, in the article that I read, he said that he sees his people as a greenhouse, and his job in the greenhouse is to make sure that every person can grow
Mm-hmm.
and flourish. Okay. He
Mm-hmm.
said, but most people see their business as a greenhouse, but they think that they need to be the biggest plant in there that everybody aspires to be. Or
Mm-hmm.
ever, or I think sometimes this is dangerous to say because it can be misinterpreted, but sometimes we live the lie of I'm supposed to be the person that my staff looks up to. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's not the exact words. It's it, I just because I'm the boss, they don't need to be like, wow, he's the biggest plant, and so we need to grow in the direction that to live up to what type of
Right.
leader he is. They
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to lead on their own, and some plants may be a little bit shorter than the other ones because that's them, and they have deeper roots, right? Than taller ones.
Mm-hmm.
They're taller, but they don't have the deep roots, right? We all have our give and take, and
Mm-hmm.
I liked that because it made me start to say that the people that they should aspire to be are the people that are under me, right? So like the personal line techs that help my account managers, they should be their own little greenhouse trying to aspire to be like each other, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
another little greenhouse over here of my commercial lines. I'm trying to see in that to where I'm outside providing the growth. I'm not necessarily the person. Does that make sense when I say that?
No, it makes sense. And I think, Jason, when you're the leader of an agency, in this case, to me, your analogy, you're the person that sets the temperature. You set
Mm,
the temperature, you set the culture, you give the structure, you build the greenhouse. And then from there, like you said again, you put in the greenhouse, okay, I got beautiful plants over here, I got vegetables over here. You let it all grow, but it all grows according to the structure that you put in place. And then from there, you're
mm,
the pruner. You're the person. Okay, well, let's change this. Okay, no, too much sun. Let's put some shade up over here. But again, if you're always in the soil, so to speak, trying to grow with people, you don't see that. So I think to your point, man, there's something about truly leadership, understanding their role in knowing that, okay, yeah, I don't have to be all things to everybody. I just got to make sure this company continues to rock and roll and moves forward.
Well, listeners, I brought him on for a reason. I dropping knowledge, dropping wisdom. I really, really appreciate you coming on here, Quincy.
Thank you, sir.
I really, really, truly do. Before I get to my last two questions for you, anything you want to say, wrapping up about this conversation, or anything you want agents to know out there about this greatest industry God ever created?
Well, I think the passion and the love came through in our conversation. And again, I truly appreciate that our conversation was organic. But one of the things, and I want to say this, sir, I know we haven't spoken in quite some time, but man, our relationship goes back several years. I was even looking at some photos in my phone of when we were meeting with carriers and going to ballparks and everything of that nature. But one of the things I truly loved about you, Cass, even at a young age, man, was your passion and your willingness and wanting to say, no, I want to get out there. I want to do this and I want to do that. And that really helped me, sir. Mm-hmm. It really helped me. So, man, like you said, define that passion, go after it. And like I said, again, I watched you probably more than what I care to even say. Man, Cass is doing that. Wow. Oh, Cass is doing that. That's cool. Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome. So, it's sort of nice and it's cool to see and to be here now, respectively, man, knowing what we've done in our careers. So I just want to say hats off to you in front of your listeners that, man, you have the Cass that they see today is the Cass I knew, 10, 11, 12 years ago. And I guess that, and that says a lot because you haven't changed.
Thank you.
In a sense, like obviously we've all matured, we've gotten better, but right. Some have lost, some have grayed. That's why I keep mine low. But you haven't changed with that passion, and it's super cool to see that, man. And so I really do appreciate what you're doing. And, from a listener standpoint, I think what we talked about today, I don't want to take away from that. And I think if the listeners can just take away something from what we talked about, boom, boom. Man, that's really what it's all about, Cass. Can you drop a nugget that can encourage somebody to take one more step? Can you drop a nugget that will encourage somebody to just move one step further? And I think this industry is great. This industry has put food on my table, put clothes on my kids' back. It's going to put my kids through college. And I'll just say this, man, it's one of those industries that have stood the test of time. Even in the face of the pandemic, I've seen colleagues get stronger during this time. I've seen agencies get better. So we're in a great industry, man. And I would just say, let's continue to fight for it. Let's continue to make sure we get better in it. So that's all I got.
Thanks for being a part of it, man. Thanks for strengthening it. Now, I know we talked about it a couple times about that wonderful family you have. And I know one of the things is with your boo. Maybe you're watching Hulu. I don't know if you get your kicks on Netflix or you spend your time on Amazon Prime. But what are you and the lady watching when it's late at night after you come home at 1? You're trying to your brain. Probably not 1. You're trying to go to sleep. But, it's late at night. What are you guys watching? What are you guys lately? What's something you've watched out there?
We are huge HGTV watchers. Yeah. Now lately we've been watching this RV show. And I don't know why, but we've been watching RV shows like crazy. And so my wife has been planting the seed that we maybe should go look at some RVs. And I'm like, for what? Like, we don't drive that, but no here, no there. But so the RV show is where we're at right now.
Yes. It's so funny, the shows that we watch and we always are like, now I don't know why we're watching this, but it's just the weird things, even right. Billy told me some of the shows he was watching. You can tell he's kind of like, well, cause that, it's just something that we do. It's one of those personal times. Last question though, leaders are readers and readers are leaders. And I know you're a leader, so you must be a reader. What have you been reading or read lately that you want to tell us you have?
Wow. Interesting. Good question. And well, I got it right here, man. My CIO and COO gave me this book, and I'm reading right now. I just started it. Blessing or Curse.
Curse. You can choose.
And so, like, he told me, he said, man, like, I was reading this, and I thought of you. So I just started reading that, and it simply talks about, it says, freedom from pressures you thought you had to live with. And
thought
so
that you had to live with.
Right, and that's what I like about that. The things you thought you had to live with. So not it's sort of off the beaten path of me reading from a business standpoint, but I think that's just personally where I'm at right now. Like say again, just trying to feel okay, how almost like you said with your birthday, man. How do you continue to pour back into you? Because listeners, I think that's key. Man, never forget that you're important. Like what they say, self care is important.
Yes.
You know,
Come on.
when we got to take care of ourselves, man. So for me, that's what I'm doing right now, man. Trying to figure, okay, how can I recharge myself and do that? So, you know, on top of that, I'm super excited. My wife and I, we are celebrating 20 years of marriage in June this year, dude. And you know, we're going to Hawaii, and we've already got our ticket booked. And I'm unplugging and just going to enjoy life a little bit, man. So those are the kind of things I'm focused on right now, Jason. To be totally honest.
Got me by a year. My wife and I will be 20 years in September 28th of 2022. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and what's crazy is that's where I think I'm going to take her is Hawaii. So I'm trying to keep it quiet though. She's been wanting to go there for a while, and every time we've almost about ready to go, there's been something that's changed it. You know.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it quiet, but I want to go to Paris too sometime. I don't, you know.
I would love to do that.
You know, I just see love when you think of Paris, you know? And I'm thinking, like, that's where I need to go, right? Take the wife, go have wine and cheese and what is it, crumpets? I don't even know. I don't even eat that stuff, but I will when I'm in France. You know?
Right, I was like, you know, ratatouille, all that stuff. Yeah, just to do it.
When in France, do what the French do.
Exactly.
Just don't talk like them. And make sure you shave. That's baloney. I met some French girls when I was in Cuba. I really did. I was sitting there, and me and a couple of guys and a couple other girls, and we could hear them talking because it was just like, you know, and we started talking to them. And after we sat there and talked to them for like an hour or two, you know, we were able to ask them, like, is that true? You know, and they're like, there are people that don't do that, more probably in France than most, but probably girls like that are. A lot of them do, you know, a lot of them do shave, you know, 60, 70, 80% of them do, right? And maybe more don't in America. We just don't know about it. I don't know. But anyways, it was something that I asked them from a straight French person, not from the media, not from American who's been to France one time, thinks they know. Anyways, man, Paris. Where else would you like to take the old lady? Where have you ever thought of like, man, one of these days, you ever thought of that?
Honestly,
old lady, I apologize. We're Midwesterners around here, but yeah,
right.
It's not old. It's old. See, they forget it. OLE. Old.
I was gonna say, man, don't get me in trouble here.
It ain't old. It's old. Old lady.
And you know, I say again, Paris. I definitely feel something like that. But and this is not even extravagant. But man, I want to do because hey, you live in Vegas. I want to do like a winter trip. You know, like an Aspen. Just get the cabin. You know, and actually see what it's like to have just snow everywhere and just with the fireplace. Right. You know, so I haven't done something like that, you know, ever. So I think I would just love to do something like that as well.
Like you got to have like the big, huge fireplace, right? The TV over it. You're looking out the side, big glass, huge windows, snow's falling, mountains in the background, you know, evergreen trees.
Exactly.
You gotta have a bunch of blankets that you're snuggled up on. Big couch, right? Big couch.
Right, you know, hot chocolate, the whole nine.
Ooh, hot chocolate. I forgot about that part, man. Oh my goodness. Oh, woo. I do, I'm going to missay it, but the Maldives, I think it is. It's like on the other side of the world, the south of India. We all see it. It's like crystal clear water in these cabanas on the water.
Oh, yeah.
You know? It's like $25,000 a night. I'm hoping the price goes down in about 10 years or, you know, the wife and I ain't going to that one, you know, so. Like, honey, I can't afford $100,000 for 4 nights. I mean, come on. Insurance is good, right? And you got that financial freedom rule, truth number 2, but woo, got to be a big one.
Right.
Quincy, I appreciate your time very much, sir.
This has been fun. Appreciate you, man. It's been a blast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. And so, loyal listeners, I hope that I've given you something here. 58 minutes to you. It's a little longer when you're putting in the ads in the beginning. But Quincy and I hope you felt that rawness, that trueness. This was a conversation. Just I tell Quincy and I tell a lot of them, there were 2 people meeting at a local establishment, having a cold, refreshing beverage and we are discussing insurance. And I hope that's what we did for you. And I want you to know that if you have any questions, you need to reach out to Quincy. You can find him out there, Quincy Branch on LinkedIn. He's got a lot of wisdom. Quincy is part of the Big I because he was not part of the Big I. That's one of his volunteer efforts because he wants to help. And so reach out to Quincy. I learned a lot from Quincy, and I learned that where we have come from and where we're going makes me remember the last saying that I really like, and it's that you will overestimate what you can do in a year, but you will grossly underestimate what you can do in 10 years. And Quincy, it's been 10 years. It's almost been 10 years. And look what we have done, right? So many times we did not meet our personal goals for the year, but here we are 10 years, and we've met the goal that I think that we thought, the vision we had. So kudos to you, man, and kudos to you.
Man. Right back at you, man.
To all you loyal listeners, I do what I do because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This has been Agency Intelligence, where I give you real agents inside real agencies, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe. This is Cass. He was Branch. We are out.